Hello and welcome to Talking Truth Ministries, where my goal is to share the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to the best of my ability, with the hope of leading someone to the ultimate truth, who is Jesus Christ, who himself said he was the way, the truth, and the life. So tonight is my conspiracy night, and I want to talk about 9/11, and I'm going to also share a video. And I'm not sure what anybody's awareness about the events of 9/11. I mean, it's been 22 years ago now, incredibly. And there was a lot of interesting things that happened. And I'm saying too much, excuse me. But a lot of things happened that just didn't make sense, defied logic, defied science, if you will. And so I wanted to make this just kind of a simple, short talk about it. I mean, I'm not an expert on everything that's involved in this. That's why I'm going to share the videos. But I found some memes, and memes I know aren't always good educational tools, but sometimes they are. So I'm just going to kind of show each one and just talk about it for a second. Some of them are kind of repetitious, but from a different angle. But this one, and if you look at the shirts, they're protesting that 9/11 was an inside job. And then on their signs, they say it's called rememberbuilding7.org. And how did three skyscrapers collapse on 9/11? Ask questions and demand answers. On 9/11, of course, we know that there were 4 aircraft. Two hit the Twin Towers, one hit the Pentagon, and then one crashed in Pennsylvania, supposedly. I'll put it that way. But the Twin Towers weren't the only buildings that fell. There was Building 7, which was a 47-story skyscraper that wasn't hit by any airplane, and it had minimum amount of fires. Who knows how those started. That collapsed exactly like the Twin Towers did. That looked more like a controlled demolition, like if somebody was going to have a building removed of that size, they would collapse the building on its own footprint to make it easier to clean the debris out and remove everything without causing a big hazard to the surrounding areas. So here's a picture of World Trade Center 7, Building 7. Of course, here's built the 2 towers collapsing upon themselves, and you can see just the dust and all this stuff, powder just going in all directions. And there's Building 7. Just looks like you're standing there all by itself, and nothing hit it, but yet it ended up falling about, I think it was 6 or 7 hours after this second tower fell. So the false flag of 9/11, the conspiracy goes, and a conspiracy is nothing more than 2 or more people making a plan to do something that would benefit themselves. That's what a conspiracy is. There's nothing, scary, spooky about it. People conspire all the time, and it doesn't mean that they're going to break the law. My wife and I conspired to go have breakfast this morning. We talked about it. We conspired. But the false flag of 9/11 goes, we are supposed to believe that 2 steel buildings were taken down by 2 airplanes. Then, to top it off, there are no black boxes despite the absence of an ocean. The white smoke is obviously due to thermite. And then there's Building 7, which can't be explained. 9/11 was an inside job, a CIA and Mossad operation intended as a false flag to get us into wars and take our liberties. The Twin Towers were taken down by demolition. Now, if you look at the fires, any of the video showing, the way the buildings fell, you can see that it was strategically done so they would fall straight down, which just doesn't make any sense if it was not planned that way. You wouldn't see these structures fall the way they did. But did you know that just months before 9/11, the World Trade Center's lease was privatized and sold to Larry Silverstein? Silverstein took out an insurance plan that fortuitously covered terrorism. After 9/11, Silverstein took the insurance company to court, claiming he should be paid double because there were 2 attacks. Silverstein won and was awarded $4.5 billion. Interesting. I'm surprised he didn't claim it for the 3rd building. Did you know William Cooper, and I've listened to some of this guy's stuff. He's a father. He was a father, a husband, ex-military, a radio talk show host who once predicted 9/11 just a few months before the disaster. He said Osama bin Laden would be the patsy for the attacks of 9/11. On November the 5th, 2001, he was killed. They killed him for speaking about this. Now, here is jet fuel burning outside of the World Trade Center tower upon impact on September 11, 2001. All those flames, that is burning jet fuel, which is supposedly the same jet fuel that supposedly burned inside the tower, so much so that it supposedly melted steel beams, even though the same jet fuel cannot reach such temperatures. Otherwise, it would melt the steel planes in which it burns every single day. Interesting. It is not a political conspiracy theory to claim that World Trade Center 7 came down through controlled demolition. In fact, to claim otherwise would be to make a claim against credible science. It's official. European Scientific Journal concludes 9/11 was a controlled demolition. Here's another one about William Cooper. He said they would blame the event on Osama bin Laden, but told his audience, don't you believe it? He was shot and killed by police less than 2 months after 9/11. So I'm not sure when, because the other one said he was killed 5 days, but it was still kind of strange that he would be killed right after he predicted this. And now this is even more interesting. The day before 9/11, the Pentagon reported $2.3 trillion missing. And guess where the accounts for that amount was kept? In the Pentagon, right where something hit it and blew up that area. I'm not going to say it's an airplane because it's impossible. Now, here's an actual plane crash. Picture of what a plane crash looks like. But for some reason, the 9/11 plane crash was just a hole in the ground. Where's the plane? Where's the bodies? Where's the debris? Nothing. Kind of strange. So what happened to the plane? Now, if you look here, oops, you guys set this bomb off too early. Here is something shooting out the side. Well, this is all coming down. You can see where there was these controlled demolitions. They had to have, because there's no way this is just going to fall straight down. Not according to physics. It's not going to go all the way to the ground. And it went down, and I watched the video numerous times. From the second it started to collapse, it took 10 seconds to hit the ground all the way to the bottom. That's 110 stories in 10 seconds. They say it was pancaking, but the increased every floor would have stopped it for even if it was just for a moment, if they had to break every floor going down on its just the collapse on its own without some help by controlled explosives. Then you can see where molten metal started to pour from the side of the South Tower 7 minutes prior to its destruction. Jet fuel does not burn hot enough to melt steel. Then you got heavy steel beams flying straight out sideways for 300 feet. Why would these beams be just shooting out the sides like that unless there was some kind of explosive action in there? Now here is a linear shaped charge from when they do control demolitions. They shear the beams like this so they will basically slide off each other. You know, instead of going down like this, they slide. Look at these angled cuts. There's no way that the fuel is going to burn through. That looks like it's a couple inch thick steel. It ain't going to happen. The laws of nature don't, I'm not going to read this one. I'm going to say, give a crap about political correctness or what people want to believe. The laws of nature confirm that 9/11 was and always will be an inside job, whether we like it or not. Molten steel is the result of thermite, not plane gas, or plane crashes, collapse, or fire. Thermite. Jet fuel burns at a max of 1,500 degrees, but steel melts at 2,750 degrees. Look at all these angle cuts here. Look at these steel beams melted. There's no, even with everything burning inside that building, it's not going to get hot enough to melt these steel beams. They were designed that way. This is pieces of the steel beams. Oh, this is Celsius degrees. Okay. Jet fuel. Here's how much jet fuel in scale to the size of this building. There's not enough to burn. There's not enough jet fuel in that spot to even burn all the furniture in there. Crazy. Look how fast they come down. I was watching TV that day. I'll never forget the sight I seen when those towers crashed. Pentagon strike. Here we go. Can this plane, look at, this is the size of the plane, 747, fit into this tiny hole? Does the damage to the impact area look more like the result of a bomb or missile attack? Where are the remains of the plane, such as the wings, the tail section, the engines, luggage, seats, and bodies? Why isn't the lawn scorched or covered with debris? Why was the plane flown in at a few feet from the ground? Why wasn't it dive bombed from above? Why did the FBI confiscate approximately 85 CCTV recordings of the event? Why wasn't the interplane intercepted and shot down? What really happened to Flight 77 and all of its passengers on 9/11? There is no way. You would have all kinds of damage from the planes, the wings hitting here. All you got is a hole. Goes right in there. There's no way that a plane could fly that low, especially by a guy they say couldn't even pass a flight test on a single engine Cessna. Supposedly he flew this multi-ton jet at hundreds of miles per hour in a circle who probably would just about knock anybody out from the G-forces and hit that building with such precision. No way. Again, where's the plane? There's the hole. There's, you know, some area that probably stuff flew up from the building, but where's the plane? Where's the parts from the plane? Got all these cameras all around the building and they have no footage. Oops, repeat. Then they're saying jet beams can, the fuel beam, melted these steel beams, but their passport survived. Yeah, right. Like they're gonna just happen of all the stuff that's all around there. They're gonna say, "Oh my, here's a passport. Oh my, it's the guy flying the plane. Why is the guy flying the plane carrying his passport with him when he's going in there?" Look at this plane's going in. Look at this flash of light, and then all of a sudden it's like sucked into this hole. I mean, the Boeing, they're made out of aluminum and mostly aluminum and some steel. To go through these heavy steel beams, seriously? Did you know that a B-25 bomber crashed into the 79th floor of the Empire State Building on July 28, 1945, and it never collapsed? Oops. Lawana Maysfield, whoever that is, I don't know who she is. I'm still waiting for someone to produce pieces of the alleged plane that opened the doors for U.S. citizens to lose all privacy rights from the conspiracy theorist in me. Never forget, steel beams melt at 2,700, jet fuel burns at 1,500, and the World Trade Center was designed to withstand the impact from a Boeing 707, which causes 10% more damage than 767 that hit the World Trade Center. 9/11 questions. How did two planes make three buildings fall? Why is there no footage of the plane that hit the Pentagon? Why did planes vaporize the Pentagon in Pennsylvania? Why didn't NORAD respond? How did three steel frame buildings collapse for the first time in history on the same date? Why were they running war games during the attack? Why was everyone responsible promoted instead of fired? Why did the 9/11 Commission ignore and omit crucial information and fail to follow up important leads? But remember, you are an American hating conspiracy theorist for even asking these questions instead of believing in the government. Yeah, right. Never forget. Here we go. September 10, 2001, Donald Rumsfeld holds a press conference to state that the Pentagon was missing $2.3 trillion. But the next day, something happened and everybody forgot about this. 2.3 trillion. I don't know if people can even comprehend how much money that is. Let me put it this way. If we were to try to pay back just 1 trillion of this, and we paid back $1 per second round the clock, it would take 38,000 years to pay back just $1 trillion. So that's the magnitude of how much that is. How do you lose $2.3 trillion? That's September 11, 2012. We're not going to go into that. The elapsed time for the total destruction of each tower was only 2 to 3 seconds longer than the time it would take for a brick to fall to the ground from the highest height of the roof. It is physically impossible for a pancaking collapse to crush intact structure and overcome its inertial without slowing down. Exactly. They fell too fast. Then the evidence was removed. This shows demolition, and I apologize for the greediness of the picture. But this shows demolition charges being placed on a street column. Notice the angle of the charge. This is done to cause the buildings to slide or jump and collapse into its footprint. Again, I already, I explained this, these were what the beams looked like at the bottom. A picture from below. They just had a fireproofing upgrade from 1990 to 2000, and apparently it didn't work very well. Here's some of the steel beams. Again, look at these angle cuts here. All these angle cuts. And if you look into the research this, and I've done some other research, and I don't have, let me see what else I've got. This is I think this is from an elevator. Thing that moves, that makes your elevators go up and down. So here we go. There's those angle cuts again. Terrorist attacks in U.S. So this was done live. News update. And she's saying the 47-story Salomon Brothers building close to the World Trade Center has also collapsed, but yet there it is right there. So how did they know in advance that this was going to collapse? Fire and heat, the New York World Trade Center. 1.5 hours after the outbreak, the building has collapsed to the ground. Fire and heat, the Windsor building in Madrid, 2005. 20 hours later, the Windsor building is still standing. What do you think that fire and heat do with a steel structure? The reason they make it out of steel so as it doesn't collapse. Yeah. Right. 9/11 witness meets Obama at the White House to ask him to investigate 9/11. She dies 6 days later in a plane crash Obama gave her tickets for. Now, how interesting is that? But they told us we were attacked because they hate our freedom. So I guess they won. We have the Patriot Act, which means basically the government can spy on everybody. The NDAA, they got the TSA at the airports now. National Defense Authorization Act, which means they can take whatever money and do what they have to create the police state, the government spying. You got the Department of Homeland Security and all that stuff. You know, a little late if you ask me. And if you watch some of the well, I'm going to post a couple videos, and they tell us how, you know, they heard all these explosions before everything happened, and you know, and just watch. They're pretty interesting if you haven't seen them already. So I'm going to conclude with this tonight. Thanks for watching. If you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button and share this with your family and friends. God bless and good night.